Well, hello there, and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about theme parks. Intriguing. It was announced today that this year, the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Orlando Resort will feature a Stranger Things experience based on the first series. Now, this is a big deal for the industry as it follows on from what we've been talking about a lot this week, which is how Netflix and on-demand services are slowly taking over the entertainment industry. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to explain how franchising brands and theme parks work. In the film industry, there are 6 major studios: Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount, Sony, and 20th Century Fox. However, there are currently only 2 major theme park brands, and that's Disney and Universal. However, Paramount have announced plans to open a theme park in the UK in the next few years. But if you're a major Hollywood studio and you don't already have your own park, then don't worry about it because you can license your brand to other parks. I think the best example is going to be Harry Potter, which is currently licensed for the Universal resorts in Orlando and Los Angeles. However, Harry Potter is not a Universal brand, it's actually with Warner Brothers. Now, reportedly, J.K. Rowling was famously once in talks with Disney about putting a Harry Potter land in the Disney parks. And when you hear about it, it seems obvious to put a Harry Potter land inside the Magic Kingdom. However, the story goes J.K. Rowling had some red lines. For example, she didn't want her iconic characters like Harry, Ron and Hermione walking around greeting guests, and she wanted a full-size replica of Hogwarts built. However, Disney refused because of their Sleeping Beauty castles were already in the Magic Kingdom. And so the story goes she gave up and went over to Universal, who did everything she wanted. The news today is the first example of Netflix franchising one of their brands for a theme park. So it's a massive step forward for gaining credibility in the industry. Although you may love it, it has quite a bad reputation in the industry as being a disruptor to some sort of old force of Hollywood. For example, when they take some of their original content to film festivals, it often gets booed, largely because I think the filmmaking elite don't like the change that Netflix is bringing. But the aim of new attractions is to get new visitors to come to theme parks. And I think it's quite telling that it's a Netflix show that has been judged as the best thing to pull people in for Halloween this year, especially given the amount of horror films that come out these days. Just yesterday I mentioned Ghost Stories and A Quiet Place, and I don't think anyone's going to forget It, which came out in August last year, or the Slender Man movie that's coming out in a couple of months, and I think is going to do very well in the cinemas. But with other major Netflix brands such as Black Mirror, a series of unfortunate events, and The Crown doing so well, it'll be interesting to see what they do in the future. Now, the second story of the day is a little bit later than it will probably be most weeks, but it is the UK box office weekend results. Now, as this is the first time that I'm doing this, it's my job over the next few minutes to explain why this random collection of statistics is actually really interesting. Essentially, the weekend box office tells you a lot about what films are doing really well or doing really badly, and it's a good indication for what films are going to be made in the future. So this is what it looks like. This is the top 10 films in the UK ranked by how much money they made this weekend. And by far the most interesting column is the drop column. It tells you the percentage drop or increase that that film has had from the weekend before. So for Pacific Uprising and A Wrinkle in Time, this was both their second weekends, and they have both plummeted down at the table. Now, these were both blockbuster films that were expected to be top of their table when they came out. However, I think it's safe to say both films weren't very good, which is why on their second weekend they have had such a significant drop. The Greatest Showman, on the other hand, although it has slipped down one place, has spent 14 weeks in the top 10. Now, for films nowadays, this is incredibly rare, and I think it speaks to the strength of this film's soundtrack. If you haven't heard it yet, you really need to fix that. It's been in the top 40 in the UK on the music charts, that is, for the past 15 weeks. In fact, before I started filming the show, I was listening to it. Movie critics absolutely hated this film, and I had mixed feelings about it when I did a review. Yeah, apparently I do reviews now, who knew? But in the UK to date, it has made £41.5 million, which is only slightly less than Black Panther, which is one of the biggest movies of the year. In fact, I believe globally, Black Panther has just gone into the top 10 films of all time in terms of how much money it's made. And it just goes to show that apparently people value a tune over a story any day. Good to know. Maybe I should sing more on this show. Peter Rabbit, as you can see, is up there at number 1. Not too surprising, as it is Easter. Based on the trailers, I didn't think it was going to be very good, so I haven't actually seen it yet. But if you have, let me know what you thought. But I think the most shocking thing about this list is that Ready Player One, which is the new film from Steven Spielberg, has debuted at number 2. Admittedly, it's not far off Peter Rabbit, and I've got a feeling it might climb up to number 1 this weekend. But it really does show that Steven Spielberg doesn't quite have the weight anymore, seeing as an animated movie voiced by James Corden can do better than it. Again, if you've seen any of these movies, let me know in the comments. And finally, Isle of Dogs had a limited release in the UK last week, and it debuts at number 3, which is actually pretty good for an independent, quite artsy movie like it. Although Wes Anderson is becoming more and more popular and mainstream, if you've never seen one of his films, I highly recommend either this or The Grand Budapest Hotel, or my personal favourites, Fantastic Mr. Fox and Moonrise Kingdom. I got the chance to see a screening of Isle of Dogs last week, and it was probably one of his best. It's a charming film that I'd recommend to movie fans, and although I haven't seen Ready Player One or Peter Rabbit yet, I would say it's my favourite thing currently out in the cinema. I hope you found this vaguely interesting, and join me at a similar time next week as we continue to go over the drama at the box office. Exciting. You're excited. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, the BAFTA television nominations came out this morning, and there are some vaguely interesting inclusions. Firstly, it's that pesky Netflix back again, making waves, with Black Mirror and The Crown receiving the most nominations, with 3 nominations each, alongside Three Girls and Line of Duty. Perhaps the most controversial nomination was in the Best Entertainment category, where Ant and Dec Saturday Night Takeaway was given a nod. Now, last year they actually won this category, but given the controversy, which we discussed on Monday's show, it'll be interesting to see how that affects it going forward, and if they do win, what will happen. And then BAFTA have announced a new category to reflect how audiences have shifted the way that they watch content. Apparently more and more people are watching short form content, some of it online. This new category recognises content between 3 and 20 minutes, premiering on a broadcast or an online platform. Please Like, the BBC 3 parody of YouTube, has been nominated, which means, I guess, that a YouTube series based in the UK is now eligible for a BAFTA. I put in my notes, waves aggressively at the Academy. And that's where I'm going to leave the show for today. If you want to watch more, then I'll leave another video around here. And all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.